In the Crouch End area of London, 29-year-old electronics salesman Sean is disrespected by his colleague, does not get along with his stepfather Philip, and is dumped by his girlfriend Liz after he promises to improve himself but is unsuccessful in making decent plans for an anniversary. At his favorite pub, the Winchester, a heartbroken Sean gets drunk with his slacker best friend Ed. At home, Sean and Ed's roommate Pete complains of a bite wound from a mugger and berates Sean, telling him to stop leaning on Ed and get his life together. The following day, a zombie apocalypse has overwhelmed London. Sean and Ed do not notice until they encounter two zombies in their garden, whom they beat to death after throwing household implements and Sean's record collection at them. They devise a plan to rescue Sean's mother Barbara and Liz and then wait out the crisis at the Winchester. They escape from a now zombified Pete by stealing his car. They pick up Philip, who has been bitten, and Barbara. Ed deliberately crashes Pete's car so he can drive Philip's Jaguar Series 3. They fetch Liz and her flatmates David and Diane. Philip reconciles with Sean before becoming a zombie. Forced to abandon the car and their weapons, they sneak through the neighborhood and briefly encounter a group led by Sean's friend Yvonne, with each group member resembling a doppelganger of the other group's members. Sean defends Barbara from a zombie and impales it with a swing ball pole. After imitating zombies to bypass a horde and reach the Winchester, Sean and Ed argue when Ed answers his mobile phone, attracting the zombies' attention. David panics and breaks a window of the Winchester, forcing Sean to lure the horde away using himself as bait before returning. As the group takes refuge inside the Winchester, Sean discovers that the zombies followed him, and Ed inadvertently attracts them by playing on the pub's slot machine. While fighting the pub's zombified owner, Sean discovers that the Winchester rifle above the bar is functional. Barbara reveals she was bitten and dies after giving Liz and Sean's relationship her approval. David attempts to shoot Barbara, but Sean stops him, accusing David of hating him and being in love with Liz. David denies this, but Diane admits she knows it is true. Barbara becomes a zombie, forcing a distraught Sean to shoot her, and further fighting with David ensues. The zombies break through a window of the pub and pull David out, devouring him alive. In a foolish and senseless attempt to save the doomed David, Diane opens the doors to the pub and rushes into the horde of zombies using David's severed leg as a weapon. Zombies pour into the bar. The zombified Pete reappears in the horde and is shot by Sean after biting Ed. Sean, Liz, and Ed take cover behind the bar. Sean sets the bar on fire with alcohol to serve as a barrier. The three take refuge in the cellar, where they realize they only have 2 bullets left. Sean and Liz contemplate suicide upon discovering a small lift for kegs that opens onto the street. Sean and Liz exit the pub while Ed buys them time by staying behind with the rifle. Yvonne arrives with the British Army, who gun down the zombies before taking Sean and Liz to safety. 6 months later, civilization has returned to normal, but with the added bonus that the surviving zombies are now used for free labor and entertainment. Liz has moved in with Sean, who keeps the now zombified Ed chained up in his garden shed. The two play video games together in the shed. Movie 2. Nicholas Angel, a recently promoted Metropolitan Police Sergeant, is reassigned to the rural town of Sanford, Gloucestershire, for being too exceptional. Angel arrests Danny Butterman for drunk driving, but later discovers that he is the son of Inspector Frank Butterman and a police officer himself. Angel is frustrated by the village's mundanity. Angel and Danny stop the 2 lead actors of a local production of Romeo and Juliet for speeding. A cloaked figure later murders the actors, and their deaths are staged as a car crash. Only Angel suspects foul play. Angel and Danny discover an illegal weapon stash, including an old sea mine, and confiscate it. Angel warms to Danny, and together they binge-watch action films at Danny's house. That night, a cloaked figure attacks George Merchant, a wealthy land developer, in his home, and kills him. Angel suspects that the deaths are connected to a recent property deal. Tim Messenger, a local journalist, approaches Angel at a village fete, claiming to have information. However, a cloaked figure kills Messenger by dislodging masonry from. Angel learns from Leslie Tiller, the village florist, about her plans to sell her land to Merchant's business partners. While Angel is retrieving his notebook, a cloaked figure murders Tiller with her garden shears. Angel pursues the killer, but to no avail. Angel suspects Simon Skinner, a supermarket manager, as the property deal would have built a rival supermarket. But Skinner has an alibi. After surmising that there are multiple killers, Angel is attacked in his hotel room by Michael Lurch Armstrong, an employee of Skinner. He incapacitates him and learns about a secret NWA meeting at Sanford Castle. The NWA, led by Frank, reveals that they committed the murders and staged them as accidents because each victim threatened Sanford's chances of winning Village of the Year. Irene, Frank's late wife, and Danny's mother put everything into helping Sanford win the first ever competition, but travelers moved in and ruined their chances the night before the adjudicators arrived, driving her to suicide. Frank has since vowed to help Sanford win Village of the Year every year, whatever the cost. Angel flees, but stumbles into the castle's catacombs, discovering the corpses of the NWA's victims, some of whom Angel had helped arrest or question. Danny suddenly appears and feigns murdering Angel and, pretending to dispose of him, urges him to return to London for his own safety. Although initially leaving for London, Angel stops at a convenience store and takes heart after seeing a display of action movie DVDs, turning around and returning to Sanford. After visiting the police station and arming himself with the confiscated guns, Angel engages in a shootout with the NWA, with Danny joining Angel during the battle. When Frank orders the other officers to arrest them, the pair successfully convinces them of Frank's complicity. Frank flees, and the officers besiege the supermarket, with Skinner escaping in a police car with Frank. After Angel and Danny engage the offenders in a high-speed chase and shootout, Angel corners Skinner at Sanford's model village. After a fight, Skinner is impaled on a miniature church steeple. Frank attempts to escape in Angel's car, but a swan that the pair had recaptured earlier attacks him. Angel's former superiors ask him to return to London as the crime rate has risen heavily in his absence, but Angel declines and elects to remain in Sanford. While the officers are reviewing the paperwork of the many arrests, Tom Weaver, the last NWA member, enters the station wielding a blunderbuss. He shoots at Angel, but Danny takes the hit. In the resulting struggle, Weaver accidentally activates the sea mine, killing himself and destroying the station. 1 year later, Angel has been promoted to inspector and Danny, having survived, has been promoted to sergeant. Movie 3. Gary King, an immature 40-year-old alcoholic, decides to recapture his youth by contacting his boyhood friends Oliver Chamberlain, Peter Page, Stephen Prince, and Andrew Knightley, and inviting them to complete the Golden Mile, a pub crawl encompassing the 12 pubs of their hometown of Newton Haven, the last of them being the World's End. The group attempted the crawl as teens in 1990, but failed to reach the final 3 pubs. Andy, now a teetotaler due to a drunk driving incident years before involving himself and Gary, reluctantly agrees to join after Gary lies about his mother dying. The group encounters Oliver's sister, Sam, who Gary and Stephen fought over in school. In the 4th pub, Gary goes to the toilet where he gets into a fight with a teenager and knocks his head off, exposing him as an android. As Gary's friends find him in the bathroom, they encounter several other androids and fight them off. They realize the town has been replaced by androids, which they dub blanks. Gary urges them to continue the pub crawl to avoid suspicion. The group bumps into Sam once more, and she, Gary, and Stephen fight blank versions of Sam's childhood friends known as the Twins. She tags along with them, and Stephen is told by Basil, a local conspiracy theorist who has not yet been replaced by a blank, that the blanks are trying to build a galactic conglomerate, and that any humans refusing will be replaced with identical simulants. The blanks attempt to convince the humans to join their assimilation, unwilling to lose their humanity, and finding out that both Oliver and their old school teacher, Mr. Shepard, have been replaced. The group fights a bar full of blanks. Gary lets Sam escape Newton Haven by herself. Pete gets captured after attacking the blank that has replaced his childhood bully. When Andy and Stephen try to escape, Gary ditches them to finish the Golden Mile alone. Andy and Stephen chase after Gary, as does the rest of Newton Haven, as Stephen is captured. In the World's End, Andy confronts Gary and reveals that his marriage is troubled, while Gary reveals a recent suicide attempt. Andy tries to stop Gary from drawing his final pint, but Gary clings to completing the mile as he believes it's all he has. The floor lowers into a hidden chamber. A disembodied alien entity known as the Network tells Gary and Andy that the blank invasion is the first step to humanity joining a galactic community. The network offers Gary eternal youth if he becomes a blank, but he refuses. Along with Andy and Stephen, who has survived, Gary calls out the tyranny in the network's plan and demands that humanity be left to its own devices. The network, exasperated, agrees to abandon the invasion. Sam rescues Gary, Andy, and Stephen as the town is destroyed, but they are unable to outrun the pulse triggered by the departure of the network, which deactivates Sam's car. Sometime later, Andy relates that the pulse triggered a worldwide blackout that destroyed all electrical power on Earth, sending humanity back to the Dark Ages. The remaining blanks reactivated a few weeks later, and although they are now independent from the network, they are mistrusted and shunned by most of the surviving humans. Andy's marriage has recovered. Stephen is in a relationship with Sam, and the simulant versions of Peter and Oliver have picked up where their human versions left off. In the ruins of Newton Haven, the now sober Gary enters a pub with the blank versions of his younger friends and orders water. When the bartender refuses to serve blanks, Gary leads his friends into a brawl with Gary declaring himself the king. That's a wrap for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. Also, follow me on Instagram to stay updated on upcoming videos, get exclusive sneak peeks, and be the first to know what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.